who represents us at the national level, and John, I believe, is standing over here. It's great to be with friends. I give speeches in Washington, but nobody shows up. So I have to come to Orlando. John came to me a couple of weeks ago, or months ago, or whenever, when he pesters me with my schedule. Are you going to go here? Are you going to go here? And he says, we want you to go back to Florida. And I said, back to Florida? I've been there. And he said, yes, but that's where the most enthusiasm is and the best organization. We need you to go back to Orlando. So that's why I'm here tonight. The example being set here in Florida to spread around the country, have all our organizations this strong, and then we will truly see a revolution in this country. This past week, Nancy Pelosi called out and said, come on back, you got to spend some more money. You know that we were out of session, so to speak, for the month of August. We were supposed to go home, and Democrats were supposed to try to save some seats. But they called us back. She called us back and said we're going to have an emergency session, and it lasted about 4 or 5 hours. But she said the world would come to an end if the American taxpayers didn't spend another $26 billion and do it immediately. So amazingly, it passed. Democrats had more votes than Republicans, but I don't know what would have happened if the Republicans had been in charge. They might have been wanting to pass it themselves. Who knows? But it passed. But the question is, where did they get the money? We don't have the money, and we've stolen so much from the American people. They're flat out broke, and they don't even have jobs, so we can't steal any more from the American people. And the world's not loaning as much money as before, so in order to keep the interest rates low and finance all this welfare, warfare spending, guess what? We just send the bill over to the Fed. Don't sweat it. Don't even ask any questions. Just send the bill to the Fed, and you know what they do there. They just crank it out. They don't even need a printing press anymore. All they do is just click the computers and create $26 billion just like that. Then they wonder why the economy is weak. You know, they say that monetary policy is complex and very hard to understand, but you know, it really isn't. If you've ever played the game of Monopoly, you know that Monopoly money is not hard to understand. If you take 2 Monopoly games and put the money from both sets in, all you do is you push up prices, right? And you know, I have found over the many years, talking about monetary policy in particular, whether I talk to grade school, high school, adults, college kids, or whatever, it seems like they really understand about monetary policy. It's not all that complex, but it's very, very important. And of course, that has been one of the subjects that I have been dealing with for so long, and motivated me in my early years to run for Congress, because the Austrian economists, the free market economists, had predicted in the 1960s, as a matter of fact, even earlier than that, Henry Hazlitt predicted when Bretton Woods was established, it wouldn't work. And he was right, the rest were right, and it did happen in the early part of 1971 on August 15th, and Bretton Woods broke down. So it really confirmed that Austrian economic theory was absolutely right, and the Keynesians were absolutely wrong, and I was motivated then to start speaking out on that issue. And I found not too many people interested, but it did talk about the Fed a lot, got to Congress, talked about the Fed a lot, and still not many people paid any attention. And I brought that subject up, you know, a couple of years ago in a campaign. It was a national campaign, and to my surprise and to my pleasure, there were a lot of you who cared and understood and knew exactly what was wrong with the Federal Reserve, and I am so glad that we now have that as a very important issue to deal with in this country. Campuses, they volunteer this as a very important subject. I'm also very pleased when I talk to young people on college campuses that the issue that attracts their attention the most is the issue of war and peace. You know, we do the polling. The polling came out today and said what the American people care about is, you know, right now they care most about jobs, and I can understand that, and they should, because they have to worry about taking care of their families and paying their bills, and they are very much worried about it. You know, very often in the past you've heard people saying, well, that people vote from their heart, but you shouldn't vote from your heart, you should vote from your head. I've always argued that people vote from their bellies. And if they have an empty belly and they're concerned, economic policies do carry a lot of weight. Well, the job we have as members of the Campaign for Liberty is to take the concept of liberty, make it very important, make it a moral issue, and turn it around to say that if you do care about your bellies, that's the only way you can feed people, is have freedom and property rights and sound money. That's how you take care of people, if you care about them having jobs and having a high standard of living. This is why the concept of liberty is so important, because then what comes out of it, our economic system that comes out of it, is therefore the economic system that to me is the only humanitarian system around. The campaign a couple of years ago was a big surprise to me. I was invited to run by many of you, and they called, and I was reluctant. Believed that very little would come of it, a little would. I always figured that the few things I've done over the years, a little good always comes of it. But I was very reluctant. I was finally talked into doing it. I went and did it, but to my surprise, the reception for our views and sound money was so overwhelming. But to me, the most exciting thing has been that when the campaign ended, I thought, well, I'll just go back to being that unknown congressman from Texas. And I will go and do what I thought my job was trying to set an example and, you know, and do this very bizarre thing and looking at every single bill through the eyes of the Constitution and vote against them if you have the Constitution. That was generated, during the campaign would die off, but let me tell you, it really hasn't. And like it was mentioned in my introduction, I said I can't speak very well, and I don't get it. It's a powerful message. It's a powerful message, and we do know that this message does generate a lot of interest and a lot of activity. But the young people are looking at this and they're saying that there is something rotten with the system, something wrong, and we're inheriting this mess and we have to do something about it, and they know where the answers are. The answers are found in the American tradition, the things that we believe in and we've understood. The tradition of independent thinking, personal liberty, and of course, in order to achieve our peace and prosperity, we have to change our foreign policy. I see a lot of young people come to Washington and come through the office. In the old days, that would happen on occasion. The parents would come in, they'd have some teenagers or others straggling along, and they'd sort of insist the kids meet their congressman, that sort of thing. Today, it's different. The young people come in dragging their parents in and saying, listen, some of those young people watch YouTube more than the parents, but they'd sit their parents down and say, you have to look at this stuff, and bring it in. But a lot of them got interested in the campaign. But what surprised me, which pleases me still, is that they will come into the office, and I meet them around the country, and they'll say, I said, when did you get interested, and what was the subject? That's usually what I ask people. And now they'll say, well, a year and a half ago I saw this, or 2 years ago I saw this, which means that there's a lot of people still, coming in our direction as part of the momentum. And that's because people like you are out there spreading this message, and the campaign